Higher Education, Science and Technology. He is a Distinguished National Professor at the University of Peshawar and President of the Pakistan Academy of Sciences. He has been the Vice Chancellor of 3 Pakistan universities. His research has been in geology, mineralogy, petrology, geochemistry, and tectonics. In addition to serving a large number of education and science-related committees, he has held several important positions nationally and internationally. Dr. Qasim Jan, please.
Thank you. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to express my gratitude for having been invited to give this presentation. As you heard, agriculture is not my specialty. I'm a geologist, but we have a common concern, that is the climate change and food security. And that prompted me to compile the presentation that I have before me. The slide in front of you is from Guru Nanak, who was the father of Sikhism, Sikh religion, and he says that Pope or a Lama, religious leader, is the air, water is the father, and earth is the mother. That is what climate actually encompasses. I'm going to talk mostly about global warming, climate change, and then divulge into a little bit on agriculture. Long time ago, this book was published that showed what are the principal problems, or 6 problems facing the earth, and all these are related to agriculture and to climate change. But a more detailed one is this one, the topmost global risks. And these include the water crisis, extreme weather events, natural disasters, failure of climate mitigation. I have included in that also weapons of mass destruction. And these can be added population growth, food scarcity, energy. These, a good number of these are related to climate change and global warming. I'm sure that many of you know, but for the sake of completion, you know that there are obvious evidences for global warming, such as rise in the temperature, recorded temperature, the warming of oceans, the melting of glaciers, polar ice cap recession, and thawing permafrost, rise in sea level, 20 centimeter over the past previous century. Please note, 20 centimeter rise in sea level, increase in extreme events, ocean acidification and damage to coral reefs and baobab trees. These are some of the statistical information regarding the recording of temperature and in general, although there have been fluctuations, it's not a consistently increasing trend, but if you look at the overall trend is definitely one of increasing temperature in the recent history. Here's another picture, a presentation of the same sort, where more record. We look at the glaciers, the same picture is obvious from that, although many of the data in the Himalaya and the Swiss, the glaciers in the Himalaya and Swiss Alps they are receding, but but we don't get into that. That's what they call the Karakoram anomaly. Shakshikan is one of the major glaciers of Karakoram, by the way. But in general, there is no doubt that many of the glaciers, most of the glaciers are receding when you look at the issue globally. And here we are showing some bigger things, for example, ice cover. 72 cubic miles per year is the reduction. That is 7,500 gigatons ice loss in 100 years. And then down below, we are showing the similar picture where lots of air in the Antarctica is also losing ice. And you look at the down left, a major portion in this particular area of the glacier cover is melting. I want to share with you the causes of global warming. There are natural causes and there are anthropogenic causes. The natural causes have been related to solar flares, volcanic eruptions, Earth rotational orbit, meteorite falls, floods and storms, wildfires, decline in carbon sink. Water vapor is also considered to be one of the issues regarding greenhouse effect, but we will not go into that. Very complicated. And then atmospheric circulation. On the other hand, here are some of the anthropogenic causes. Basically, anthropogenic causes provide greenhouse gases effect, and these are related to burning of fossil fuel in industry, transport, buildings, electricity, land use changes in agriculture and dairy, deforestation, a major cause, and I've shown you a couple of the pictures on the right side, how quickly the deforestation is going on, particularly to look at the lower picture, the Amazon deforestation. So it's amazing the speed with which the tropical forests in Amazon are being by deforestation. And then we have the urbanization of being okay, this is a combined picture slide where we are showing sort of correlation, if you want to put it that way, between global temperature in degrees centigrade, carbon dioxide in parts per million, and in the atmosphere, and sea level relations. And you can see that there is a fairly nice correlation between the three. So perhaps the climate change is impacting warming.
سجل مش مسجلين محاضرته
مسجل نسمعها زائد التعليم.
Can I? Is it okay? Can you hear me? Okay. I'm showing here a slide that generally depicts that the impact of climate change or the vulnerability of climate change would be more severe for the red zone, which are mostly relatively underdeveloped countries and are developing countries, not so much in the north or very south or southeast. Here, there is a climate change and agriculture. The climate change is going to profoundly affect agriculture. Agriculture indeed is the most vulnerable human enterprise, because there will be problem of fresh water availability, there will be problem of disruption of weather and rainfall and several other things. Global warming would also melt the polar ice. I shall show you a couple of slides later on. Climate change would cause changes in agroecological conditions, which would impact crop yield, nutrition values, and livestock productivity. And with projected population, we would need I mean, projected population of 9 billion by the year 2050, we would have to increase the production of agriculture by 70%. That is a very daunting task. We may not be able to really meet that. And if the world population continued increasing, we definitely would have very serious problem of food security in many parts of the world. Okay, this is a very interesting slide that I designed from various sources. The Karakoram Himalaya, Hindu Kush, and the Tibet region in Central Asia is or has been called by some people as the third pole, because on Earth, after the North and South Pole, this is the biggest repository of ice or snow. 50% of water of Pakistan is dependent on the Indus River system. And this is the case with many other countries, including China, North India, and Southeast Asia, that is Indochina. If climate increases by another 2%, perhaps all this ice will be gone. And once the ice is gone, it would affect the agriculture productivity of 1/3 of the world population. China, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, they are the most populated countries in this region, but there will be several other relatively smaller populated countries. Okay, what are the impacts then of climate and other factors on agriculture? Climate factors include impact on water, temperature, greenhouse gases. Other factors are biotic and abiotic stresses. They also include the government policies towards the issue and natural disasters. Here is a compound slide that shows the various global warming and climate change factors, mutual interaction, and their interaction with agriculture productivity. As you can see, one cannot be looked in isolation from the other. Many of these factors, including the human health, desertification, melting mountain glaciers, resource security, migration conflict, warmer air, a warmer atmosphere, etc., etc., they all have impact on agriculture as well as mutually connected. One of the big problems is that if climate change continues, global warming continues, and some areas become desertified, there will be massive human migrations. And human migrations invariably lead to conflicts. So the world would not be at peace if climate changes because of warming of the situation. Other effects on the agriculture. There are some people have argued that agriculture can have positive impacts. Others have argued that yes, but there are also, some people have argued that it has negative impact, but others say that there are also some positive impacts. Both are correct. In fact, globally, one of the things that would happen if temperature increases, that the large areas under snow today would be irrigated. But at what cost? If you proceed and the well-populated areas are severely impacted, then obviously the benefits from the snow-covered areas would not be enough to compensate those losses. Here we show this is the positive impact. You can see the greener areas in the north, they would be irrigable, hopefully. But then look at the more affected area, the red and the dark colors in the south, that they would be very severely impacted. this is more or less the same what I have said already, that the food crop, including wheat, rice, maize, and vegetable grown in higher levels of carbon dioxide between 3 and 17 degree, this will be they will be less nutritious if they are grown in high level of carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide by itself has an impact on the level of productivity, the percentage of productivity. Let's see, what adaptation or mitigation options are available for sustainable agriculture? One is crops-related measures, that is changing in sowing time, cropping pattern, irrigation methods, use of biotechnology, very important, use of biotechnology for increased productivity. The other is water-related measures, measures which can actually sustain the use of water, adapting water smart technologies, the drip sprinkler and subsurface irrigation, rainwater harvesting, solar pumping, etc. And then soil-related measures, that is entail mulching, suppress evaporation, soil temperature, etc. And then long-term responses to climate change. The important thing is that it's very easy to display these problem is of canal irrigation. For us to change that whole system into things like drip and sprinkler, subsurface irrigation, that would be perhaps beyond the imagination of Pakistan because of the cost that would be entailing such measures have very high cost. Okay. Some other example of technologies. What technologies can you use? We've shown into very seriously, and the resource use efficiency yield improvement. Here I've shown some other mitigation measures, but basically they have been presented in the previous slides, from clean energy to carbon capture to afforestation, very important area, afforestation or reforestation. Energy efficient and eco-friendly buildings, improvement in wastage management, environment friendly agriculture and efficient irrigation, and others that we discussed earlier. Okay. The menu for solutions to close global food gap. There is estimate that we are wasting about 1.3 billion tons of food every year. The cost is approximately $1 trillion. This is a significant economic loss as well as food wastage. I would not say food shortage, food wastage. And then we have the reduced food loss and waste, shifting diets, achieve replacement level fertility, improve soil and water management, improve partial land productivity, use degraded land, and avoid shifting agricultural land from one place to another place, as well as leave no farmland behind. Okay. There is a brighter side that actually of what has been happening in the world. One was that we had a green revolution in 1960s, which obviously created some good measures for agricultural productivity. I mean, we have, again, I go back to Pakistan example. We, at the time of independence in 1947, the present day Pakistan had a population of less than 40 million. Today, we are more than 200 million. And agriculture definitely has improved with passage of time. So we are fortunately food sufficient. This is not the only example of Pakistan. There are other countries also. It's thought that hopefully there will be a second green revolution in Africa through soil fertility improvement. And then there have been some other steps also. Okay, this is the last slide that I'm going to show to you, and that is climate change, anthropogenic or natural, is real. That is, present day warming is real. Whether it's anthropogenic or natural, that's not important for us. The important thing is that global warming is taking place, and its consequence will be disastrous for the entire world if the trend continues. Climate change treaties and action plans are there, but unfortunately the enforcement mechanism is weak. Several of the rich countries or developed countries are not as much concerned as many of the poor countries or developing countries. Mitigation requires determination and action on national level, dialogue, commitment, and collaborative actions on regional and global levels. Inclusion of agriculture-related mitigation is necessary to ensure food security. That is in the government policies. Government and private sector should massively expand investment in clean technology, low carbon ventures, combine different sources of energy and pay strong attention to energy efficiency of the equipment. Awareness and education of the public and leadership. Identify ways to better face transition and live in harmony with nature. Very important, time is of essence. Plan, collaborate, act immediately. And I quote in the end a statement from Mr. Johnson in the Telegraph: if we mend our ways, we can prevent what in the past has taken place naturally. And there have been disasters, climate disasters in the past. But thank you very much and stay happy. This is, by the way, a big, beautiful picture of Pakistan. I call it as the most beautiful picture, most beautiful place. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Qasim Jan, for this presentation. As a matter of fact, I would like to say that we are moving, or we are lagging behind our schedule, about 1 hour. So please, if there is any comment or question, make it concise and to the point. Is there any question for Dr. Qasim Jan? Dr. Azhar, please.
I want to thank Professor Qasim Jan for his very, very comprehensive talk. I have two very quick points. One is on the increase of temperature in the world. The data which I have now at the moment is shown that the temperature increased to 1 degree in 2015 compared to the pre-industrial period. And if I take the data as they are, the temperature should increase to 1.5 degrees in the early 30s. And if we go even further, the temperature should increase beyond 2 degrees in the 2050s. So much, much earlier than end of 21st century. That was the first point. The things are much, much more serious than when we think in terms of climate change. The second point is that in Pakistan especially, our lifeline are the rivers, which are coming from the Himalayas, and they are fed with the melting of ice of the glaciers. And this melting is very controlled way. So the feeding into the rivers is a very controlled way. When in few years there would be no more glaciers, then we would have a lot of water very quickly without any control, and would have a lot of problems in the country. my question is has something been done against that?
Sir, I would like to respond to your second question first. According to my information, Pakistan's water budget is 50% from the rivers and 50% from the rainwater. And that 50% from the glaciers is the one that would be very severely threatened if we have global warming continued at the same rate as it is today. There is a possibility that increase in temperature might bring in new kind of water pattern, a rainfall pattern, but we don't know about that. So on today's data, one can say with confidence that if climate change occurs by another 2 degrees, it can become disaster for many countries, because then either Karakoram or some other areas, the snow will melt. And if the snow melts, we are in trouble. That is my answer to your second question. The other one is whether the temperature would increase a little more or less. Quite honestly, that data are not mine. I have taken some of the diagrams from available sources. It's possible. Some people are afraid that even it may be already too late, and that the global warming trend might even shoot up more than what has been predicted. Others are thinking that if we go not beyond 2 degrees, we might be able to manage, but 3 degrees would be a total disaster. Now the question of when that occurs, I hope it doesn't. When that occurs, I cannot answer that.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
One small comment, please, if I may.
Go ahead, please.
About global warming, one of the things that everybody agrees to is out of the 10 plus circulation models, 9 of them, 90% of them predict higher precipitation, more violent precipitation. In the case of Pakistan, alluded to by Dr. Qasim Jan, very dear friend and colleague of mine, we have a total about 93 to 100 million acre feet of water is the budget in the country. In the 2010 floods in Pakistan, 78 million acre feet flowed into the sea. There was no storage. So storage has to be built in. We've got to capitalize on climate change, warming, yes, store more water. That is absolutely important.
I have a comment, Dr. Abdullah.
You go ahead, please.
Okay, well, Dr. Qasim, thank you for this comprehensive presentation. But actually, you know now, every country in the region now is working on the climate smart agriculture strategy. And those strategies, they involve different activities that relate to the climate change and how to deal with that. But one of the aspects here is we have to work intensively on the breeding of crops for high temperature, for short season of, because the season is becoming too short. And I think this cannot be done at a country basis. I think we should find a way where we can work in the whole region together in order to cover the different crops. Otherwise, there is no way to cover these crops, and there will be no country which can carry a breeding program for every crop in that country. I think with us, Dr. Dweri is a eminent breeder, and I think maybe this way, if we are not going to do it, then by the time we will get under a hectic situation and there is no way to cover or to really fund different breeding programs. Thank you.
So one small comment on this, if you permit me.
Please.
Agriculture, water for agriculture, and Pakistan is a very big agricultural country. We developed a system in our labs, the laser labs, and we've sold several thousand units in the country. Some people have bought 5 or 6, start a small company, go around and do laser-based land leveling. We save 31 to 37% of the water. And because the water spreads uniformly, the seed, the fertilizer, etc., also spread uniformly. And on the average, about 18% plus increase in yield has been noted. And finally, Jordan is a very good country in the sense that you recycle nearly more than 50% of your water, urban water. Istanbul about 75, 80%. In Pakistan is zero. So that's another thing that we got to look out for.
That's very interesting discussion. Let's now.
Can I make a quick response to that?
Yeah, go ahead, please, Dr. Qasim.
I tried, these things have been covered in the paper, but I was quick because of the time factor. I agree with land leveling. I also agree with the other suggestion of technology. As a matter of fact, I showed that in my presentation. There was reference to technology and to new crops which can be grown even in severe conditions. But technology, as we saw it in the earlier presentations, technology should be multinational, multi-institutional. I do agree that there should be a combination of minds, a combination of facilities, ideas on multinational level to address these issues. Thank you for these for highlighting these suggestions.
Thank you very much for this enlightening discussions that we have. Now let